Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games for the Game Pass collection, bringing you three unique perspectives from varying skill range. I am the weaver of this episode, Andrew. With me are Pogo Master Keith.
Hello.
And the one who's definitely singing a sad song, Aaron.
Hey.
This week, we played Hollow Knight Silksong by Team Cherry. 8 years in the making, but it's finally here. But I know a lot of people actually found our podcast from the first Hollow Knight game, so I'm curious if a lot of people find us this time around. If so, welcome. But Hollow Knight is a 2D action Metroidvania where you were playing, it's a sequel off the obviously first Hollow Knight, where you were playing Hornet, who was a character in the first one. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil things, but you were, in this time around, you don't know what's going on, but you've been captured by this bugs that are run by the Citadel, which is this church that is kind of above ground, and you are being transported as their prisoner, but you are able to break free. You don't remember a lot of things, but you are told that, all the bugs in this area are trying to climb up to the Citadel. So you decide to join this pilgrimage to kind of get some answers as to what was going on. But before, I guess we start, obviously, if you've seen our podcast, me and Keith have played the first Hollow Knight, but I wanted to ask you, Aaron, have you ever played Hollow Knight?
I have not. So I am coming into this as a complete newbie. But I will talk a little bit more about that, though. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. But no, I have not. This is my first foray into the Hollow Knight world.
All right. And just a quick reminder, please make sure you go to GamePassGuideBag.com. Check out all our past reviews. Also, check out our YouTube. I have at least 2 videos of the playthroughs of me struggling through Silksong, which I actually thought was pretty entertaining. But anyway, whether or not this is a game or a pass, we recommend this. I will start. Usually, so when it comes to a sequel, we usually start of, do you need to play the first one in order to understand this game? And I'm going to first start off by saying yes. I recommend playing the first Hollow Knight before you play this. Not even for story-wise, but for skill-wise. This game tells you nothing. So I luckily remembered a good amount of the controls, so I kind of went into this. But there is definitely some skill checks very early on in this game. And if you did not play the first one, I think you could easily be lost. So I'm curious how Aaron struggled with this. But overall, I'm giving this a game. This is a ton of fun. This game, well, I thought it was a ton of fun. I know my co-hosts here have some different choice words. But Hollow Knight Silksong is beautiful. I love the music. The story to me was way more easy to follow. It does borrow a lot of elements of like Dark Souls where you learn more story through context. But this one had a more cohesive story of like, I understood what was going on in my objective. Definitely very difficult. One of my issues with the first Hollow Knight was some bosses, the spawn point when you died was a trek to get back to that boss. And unfortunately, there is still a handful of bosses that it is a trek to get back to, which kind of put a little bit of rain on my parade. But overall, I really liked Silksong. I thought this game was a ton of fun.
So I like platformers. I did something I don't really do a lot on this podcast for this episode. I wanted to treat this with a little bit of journalistic integrity. I know, Aaron, that's probably going to upset you to begin with, but I went back and I listened to our original Hollow Knight episode. So I was like, I bet you I'm going to say something like, boy, whatever I'm about to say about Silksong and be completely contradictory of everything I said about Hollow Knight. And it's just going to cook me. And no, it didn't. I don't know that I like this. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And it's not that I don't understand how to play it. It's not, I don't understand the appeal. It's the big thing about the Hollow Knight games are that it's very much like a Souls-like of a platformer. And it's true. It's punishing. It has elements of it. But it doesn't do it well. It's just hard. It's just, here's something that's just unnecessarily hard. We're going to shove that in your face and, oh, boo-hoo, you can't get it. And it's got this whole like superiority complex about it that it turns me off. I don't really care for it. Well, I'll talk about the other stuff otherwise, but no, I think I think I'm just going to overall go with a pass. But something that is noteworthy on the episode is when I first rolled out my rating of not Ori was when we did Hollow Knight. That was the first time I gave a game a not Ori, because it
So if
is
you're
in
new to this
fact not
podcast-
Ori, because Ori is a
Yeah.
fantastic platformer, and that I
Yeah.
understand the hype and love and all of the praise that it gets. I don't understand Hollow Knight.
Yeah. If you're new to this podcast, yeah, Keith, I know Ori is probably one of your favorites. I felt like you always, for the longest time, referenced Ori.
I would still go back and play that and have all of the same feels about it.
All right. Well, I'm going to start off here by first issuing an apology. So a few weeks ago, me and Andrew did a side quest episode, and we were talking about Silksong coming out, and I made some disparaging comments about it because I was like, Hollow Knight feels niche to me. Like, it doesn't feel like a mainstream thing. So in our Spotify comments, if you haven't commented on Spotify, well, I'm calling this guy out. So Kineas Kyle 2 indicated Hollow Knight sold 15 million copies. I don't think you can call that niche. So yeah, I do need to apologize. 15 million copies is an insane amount for that. So you are 100%
That was a
right.
surprising number to me too.
You are 100% right. That is not niche anymore. So going on to Silksong here. By golly, this is great. This is a really, really good game.
Wow, I did not think you.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Here's the thing. I think every once in a while you come along a game that is not made for you, but you kind of vibe with it still. It would be like the equivalent of somebody who does not care about sports, but picks up like NCAA football or of college football 26 and is like, I get this. This makes sense to me. I like this. That's what this kind of feels like to me, because I do not like Souls-like games. I can't stand them. I remember when the original Dark Souls came out, buying that game because it had all the hype in the world, and I was just so frustrated with that game. And this game has those types of feelings to it. Like you said, I did not play Hollow Knight, so I went into this one kind of blind. But I was immediately captivated by the world. The storytelling, the characters were so cool to me. And you know what it was? I know what this was. It was itching that part of my brain. Like, I really loved, and I still kind of do, Jim Henson puppet style movies. Things like The Dark Crystal or Labyrinth. Movies from like the early 90s, and unless you grew up in that era, I loved those vibes of those movies, and this gave me some of those vibes. And I was really into it. Did I love the gameplay? No. I mean, I understood the challenge. Again, it's not really my type, but I actually was kind of getting with this thing. Like, it was kind of clicking with me a little bit. It's so much so that I had an instant feeling of regret about 20 minutes into it. I almost wanted to just stop and go, crap, I needed to play Hollow Knight. Because I kind of want to know a little bit more before I get to this point. And I realized I screwed up. I realized, oh, no, I should have taken that more seriously. Anytime I saw images of this game, I thought, oh, okay, it's a 2D platformer. It looks fine. I get it. I don't understand it. It's not until you're playing it that you're like, oh, no. Okay, I get this. There's a lot to explore here. I feel like there's a mystery around every corner that I'm kind of vibing with. I like the feels of this thing. So I kind of regretted not taking this seriously before I got into it. But even with that being said, I'm shocked myself. I actually enjoyed this thing a lot.
I really thought you were like hard, hated it.
No,
because you've been struggling with like some of the games we've been doing.
And I will say that, like, that is a challenge to this game. It's not so much like the boss fights. Like, yeah, the boss fights can be a little bit tough, but much like with most of these, you eventually figure out the rhythms and you get it on a good run. You just kind of get in there, you realize you got a bunch of good hits, and you just don't make the mistake and you'll be fine. Of course, patience is always what ends up killing me eventually. I just don't have the patience for it. And so, yeah, that's challenging. I think what actually was the most difficult part of this game for me, but also kind of the most fun, is you kind of have no clue where to go. Which that reminded me of Dark Souls, like where I could go a million different directions here. There's nothing telling me go this way. it is go as far as you can go in that direction.
Yeah.
And so there are times in this where I'm like, I genuinely don't know where to go next. And I would sometimes forget, like I'd be like, oh, I haven't explored this part. And I'd go up there and realize, like, crap, I think I need an ability to do this. I can't do this yet. And then I'm like, all right, well, now where am I going? So I like that about it, but I hate it too. Because there definitely there was a time earlier today where I was like, I genuinely have no clue where I should be pushing right now. I feel like I've hit gates or, areas I can't clear. Sorry, I got a bug flying around in here. And that stuff has been a little bit on the challenging side. So that I find a little bit more difficult than the boss fights, truthfully.
Yeah. I mean, this one I actually find a bit more linear. Like we just recently did kind of a Metroidvania game just a couple weeks ago with Crypt Custodian. That was a fun episode. Check that out. But I remember we were complaining about with that where we're like, there was times I got lost. I felt like Silksong here is a bit more linear, and I felt it a little easier to figure out where to go. But I agree with you. There was a handful of times where I'm like, wait, I think I need an ability here.
Was compared to Crypt Custodian
or Hollow Knight?
Compared to Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight was very open.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't know. So we can talk about that more when we get into gameplay.
Yeah.
I feel like we're jumping really far in.
I know.
We talked about the story.
I'm glad you enjoyed this, Aaron, because that's exactly how I felt when I first played the first Hollow Knight. Like I heard some people, I had a couple close friends who were like, that game's really good. And when I saw it on Game Pass, we were finally like, all right, let's finally cover it for this podcast. And I felt the same way where I was like, oh, I get this. This is cool. Very hard, but even Liz, I remember, liked it. But this game is definitely making splash. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit of news about this game first. The Steam charts, I know you hate talking about it, Aaron, have been absolutely bananas. I don't know if you saw as of this recording, the past 24 hours, it had over 403,000 people playing, which is wild.
What was its peak?
462,000.
All right, game's dying. Game is dying. Put it out there. The Steam charts prove it. It is a dead game.
But have you seen, like, developers are, like, angry at Team Cherry?
Are they, though?
Team Cherry figured out this one hack, and developers are furious. I mean, this is great for Team Cherry. I mean, this studio is awesome. If you don't know, if you're playing this on Game Pass, you probably may not realize this. This is a $20 game. This game is huge. Like it has a lot of hours of gameplay in it, and it is a $20 game.
Yeah.
So I've been seeing news articles where developers are like kind of annoyed with Team Cherry of like, you're pricing your game too cheap. It's unrealistic. Like now people are going to have higher expectations and like expect games to be cheaper.
Yeah. Well, we're in the age of the $80 video game. Like we've crossed into that threshold here. And how often does a $20 game come out? They are still ultimately an independent studio. But if you think about it, these guys technically broke 2 rules on launch. One of those is a $20 launch price, which is obviously unheard of. Although I still feel like with an indie game, but they knew the game was going to be wildly popular, and they still.
That's why I'm surprised they didn't make it more expensive.
I mean, hats off to them and for doing that. But they also broke another cardinal rule. They came out and basically said, everyone said, well, why 7 years? Why did this take 7 years to make? And they basically said, we took our time and just had fun with it. But that wasn't the rule they broke. The rule they broke was they announced a launch date like 2 weeks ago. So instead of putting out a launch date a year in advance, 6 months in advance, they waited till the game was done and then just said, all right, comes out in 2 weeks. That doesn't happen anymore. Now it's the pre-order. It's the hyping up a game and then, we got to delay it because it's not ready. And then it's crunch
deluxe
time.
Edition that's $20 more to play 24 hours early.
And instead, they just said, all right, game's ready. Here you go. It was ready to go. And those are 2 rules that are just not existing in gaming. And no, you need games like this. We've talked about this in previous episodes. Indie games have been killing it. And they've really been eating the lunch of these bigger studios. And not looking at Steam chart numbers, but if you're looking at total play and who's playing what right now, indie games are killing it. They're killing it across the board. And it's the big guys that are really actually hurting on that front. So, hats off to Team Cherry. They didn't need to price it that. They could have charged probably $40-$50 and you probably would have still had a great amount of sales. But I think they genuinely looked at it and probably said, hey, we'll sell a lot of copies at $20 and we're going to be fine. Like, that's going to be plenty for us. And that's probably better for their legacy into what happens next for them.
Yeah. And I bet they made a ton of money from Xbox to put this on Game Pass.
Like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I feel like not every game, but you always hear in games like, oh, and in developing this, we actually like ended up creating this whole other thing. Like, who knows what they have just not like sitting ready to go necessarily, but like you said, for future games, if they want to branch out from Hollow Knight and create something different, people are going to have a whole lot more grace for whatever they put out and at whatever price they put it out at.
You built a lot of goodwill. You built a lot of goodwill with gamers. Now, you also missed another important part there. Not just what the Steam numbers are right now. When this game launched, it crashed the Steam.
Oh yeah,
it crashed
and
PlayStation.
Like Epic Store and yeah.
It didn't crash Xbox, but that's because it was on Game Pass. So probably less people buying it over there. Although I will add, and this is kind of maybe just again kind of jumping forward in the future, I do think if you love this game, I do think you should pay the $20 for it. I do think that these guys and the rest of the gaming market needs to know that it's okay to price your game at $20 and it still be a good value for everybody involved. So this is kind of one of those rare games. I know I've posed that question before. How many people, do you ever feel compelled to buy a game that you play on Xbox or a Game Pass that you loved? This feels like this deserves it because the company, the developers actually seem like they're worth it.
Yeah, which pirators are actually, I've seen on like Twitter where people are like, oh, here, you can download Silksong for free. Here's the pirate version. And you click on it and it just says, just buy the game.
Yeah.
Like even pirators are like trying not to pirate the game because they're like, no, it's cheap. I've even heard people saying, is there like a tip tab? Because I feel like I owe this company more money than just $20. Which that's actually something I would advocate. I think a lot of developers should have like a $5 tip.
Who was that? A game developer said this like a year ago, and he got roasted for it. But that was his suggestion: is at the end of a game, they should have the ability for you to tip the developer if you really like it.
Unless your full-on model is a full-blown freeware option that is like, hey, pay us if you want to, but otherwise here is our free product.
Because that would be exploited like crazy. And like, let's say you're playing Call of Duty. I love this Call of Duty. Let me send you a tip for this Call of Duty. Who's taking that? Activision? You think that's going to go to the developers? No, that's going straight to the CEO's pocket. So that was the slippery slope. Is how would you even know that would go to the developers? And then how does that assure that they're not going to get fired or the layoffs, a part of all those layoffs that we've seen for the last few years? So I understand what you're saying, but this happened last year. I forget which developer it was. I forget what company it was from.
The gaming industry.
But he posted it out there and everyone just was like, yeah, okay. That's going to be definitely going to the developers.
If it's just there, like I don't know.
You know what? It is
a handful of games.
If
like,
you want to tip the developer, buy the game
like,
for friends and just gift it to people. That's how you can tip the developers.
Yeah.
But there are some gross publishers that have like taken the full rights of games and none of that money is going to the developers and stuff like that.
The tip would be the same thing. They would just steal the tip.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, so let's get into the story of Silksong. So as I said at the beginning of this game, you are playing as Hornet, which is, so this is, I should explain, this is a world of bugs. Everything you're seeing are kind of like loosely based off of bugs. Some of them I was like, I have no idea what kind of bug this is supposed to be, but everything's supposed to be kind of microscopic. This is a whole world done run by sentient bugs. You're playing as Hornet, who is captured by these kind of religious bugs. You don't quite know the whole context, but you're in a cage. The cage ends up, getting deactivated. You're able to break free. You fall through a massive pit, and you find some other bugs that are making a pilgrimage to go up to the top of this pit to go back to the Citadel. And so you figured, hey, I'm being captured by those bugs. I want to figure out what's going on. and you see that some of the pilgrim bugs are being possessed and start attacking people. So you're trying to unravel the mystery of what's going on around here. The story in Silksong, as I said, if Aaron hasn't played Hollow Knight, but if you've played Hollow Knight before, it's very kind of confusing. This is the first thing that the Team Cherry really took from like Dark Souls. If you've ever played a Dark Souls game, the story is just, you have no idea. If you're just playing the game, you don't really know what's going on. But if you read like the items, or you see the background, you get context clues, you can kind of piece together a story. And that's how Hollow Knight mostly was. Hollow Knight was much more gloomy, much more dark, much more kind of death and decay. This already seems much more bright and vibrant. To me, I felt like I was meeting way more NPCs I could talk to. Your character actually talks, because in Hollow Knight, you don't really talk. And so I was able to follow the story way more in this, which is keeping me more interested. Like, I liked playing Hollow Knight, and I was like, oh, I think I get what's going on. And then I'm like, nah, I have no idea what's going on. But I'm just having fun, enjoying the ride. But this actually kept me, intrigued.
I mean, your character talks, but I figured it out. But unless you're really watching, the only way who's talking is there's a tiny little icon at the very top of the dialogue box that kind of indicates who it is. And you can kind of figure it out contextually. Otherwise, I didn't have a lot of struggle figuring out who was saying what. But
and voices. There's no exact voices, it's noises. But
yeah, they do the noises, which we'll get to that. Yeah, I don't know. I thought the story was fine. I still didn't think there was really much revelation as far as anything that was going on. It was, here's a cause, here's what your end goal is, and everything that happened in between was just kind of like, maybe like kind of spur of the moment things, like when you free the bug from the web in the bell area. But that wasn't story. I wasn't like, oh wow, now I know what's going on in this world. I just knew that I still needed to get to the Citadel.
Yeah, to me, it's like a painting that's slowly coming into place the further you go. So, when you think about it at the beginning, you literally are at the bottom, you know nothing, and then you're slowly introduced to new characters. You're introduced to new areas. Like when you get to that first grotto area, kind of where people are starting their pilgrimage, and there's people you're learning from there. And then you meet the map person, and then you meet the persons that will help craft things for you. And you start to then paint this picture a little bit more, or you run into the fleas
or the bug with the chime.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, gosh. All right. I think what Keith is going to criticize, I'm going to actually push so hard against, because I love it so much. But it just starts to paint itself out a little bit more and more. As you're starting to get your abilities, you're learning a little bit more and more. And so it just slowly starts to come together as you're going. It's not just immediately presented to you. It really does, to me, a good job of kind of, like a strand of silk just slowly unraveling. It's just I personally liked how it was laying out the story. And like I said, the thing that was bumming me out is like, gosh, I kind of wish I had the Hollow Knight background to this, because I think if I could expand this world even a little bit more, I'm into that. Like I'm into to seeing that a little bit more. So
correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, because you probably got further than I did. I think in both instances, outside of Hornet and some of the enemies looking similar, none of this was like, oh, I remember that from the last game. There's just, I remembered mechanics and how the game played. I remembered those elements from the first one, but I didn't remember like storylines. Like I'm really, this isn't me even trying to be critical. I mean, I guess it is, but I'm genuinely curious. Outside of game starts, get to Citadel, like what are some story plot elements that actually happen? I can't think of any, genuinely.
Well, not much. Well, that's why at the beginning I said I recommend playing Hollow Knight more for skill and not so much story. Because I'm like right at the end of Act 1. I was really hoping to play more. I'm 90% sure I'm on the boss at the end of Act 1, which is just the last judge is the boss, and it's driving me bonkers because you have to do a very long trek every time you die. But as far as like story, like as far as I've seen, I haven't really seen any returning characters. Besides obviously the character you're playing as Hornet. But besides that, no. Like as far as story goes, like you got a little bit of world building and understood of like the kingdom, but you're in a completely different land this time because as you're getting abilities, they even call you a knight from a distant land. So this isn't even like your original like home world. So that's why I think for story wise, I don't think it matters too much because also at the end, I'm not going to spoil things, but the original Hollow Knight had 5 different endings, and I actually saw a report. Somebody said, "So which ending is canon?" And one of the developers is kind of like, all of them are canon. Like they all kind of explain things.
That's not how canon works, buddy.
I know, because also too how the endings work is like, yeah, that doesn't make much sense. But he didn't really give an answer. It's like, oh, ending 5 is the correct one. Well, so that's why I'm like, I don't think it mattered too much.
It makes me wonder if when they made the first game, if they really thought of an expanded universe at the time, or if that's something that came in a little bit later. Because those are important things to people that care about that type of stuff. When you're trying to debate over what is canon, only a nerd really is going to care about that. And that's probably, I would just venture a guess that they weren't necessarily thinking of an expanded world. That probably came later. So they're kind of like, oh, yeah, they all are.
Did you see where this game started?
Wasn't it just 2 college students?
Yeah. It was a Newground game. Do you remember that website?
Oh, yeah.
It originally was called Hungry Night, which I think you actually can still play it.
Yeah, I actually saw somewhere there's like a screenshot of a Reddit post where someone was like, "Hey, my friend, quit his job and just like went all in on creating this game. I think it's going to be really cool. I think you guys should all go play it." And then it was Reddit, so just the worst comments. Like, your friend should just keep a job. Like, it looks like it's going to be the worst thing. Like, it's just terrible comments. And yeah, you still haven't really answered my question, Andrew. Like, outside of those 2 story elements that you're given in the first 5 minutes, how many hours have you played and how many story elements that have actually given you any context as to why you're trying to do this other than your character goes, they were trying to capture me, so I'm curious why. Let me go up there.
I'm 10 hours in and like I said, I'm still the first act, and
so what? This is where I'm genuinely confused. Then I'm cutting you off because I don't get this. Where people are like, "Oh my god, Hollow Knight! Oh my god, Silksong!" What's the story? What am I invested in? What is my emotional tie to all of this world? It is cool visually. It's cool. The picture that Aaron's talking about that I'm painting is visually very cool. What is the story that I am painting a picture of outside of those two elements that I learned in the first 5 minutes of the game?
Well, you easily see that you have this like weave, the silk, but you're also noticing that these silk strands are appearing and possessing people that are they're possessing the people right in front of you to attack you. So there's clearly someone with an ability like yours that is trying to basically turn people against you.
And
then you're trying to figure out there's something going on with your silk.
It's a real stretch, but I'll give it to you.
Even when you start out, you're kind of like affected by something, like something is bothering you. You know how you kind of go slow and you're like bothered? Like there is some other presence there. I think, again, when you talk about the tapestry, it starts to show a mystery. And like Andrew had kind of alluded to here at the beginning, the whole pilgrimage process and then the people turning against people as they're going through the pilgrimage. I think there are story elements that are starting to reveal themselves as you go along. I understand what you're saying. I'm okay though with not I'm okay with it not necessarily laying out this is a revenge tale. This guy wronged you. You want to kill him. That's the story. It's not necessarily laying it out that way. It is laying it out as in, hey, these people wanted me. Well, I want to know why they wanted me. And then it's laying out you've got something that's affecting you. There is some other presence that is affecting you, that is leading you on. And then there is the additional mystery of what is happening to the others on this pilgrimage. So
you're a spider, right? Is that they call you a spider at one point? That's in the whole silk thing.
See, I don't know because your name is Hornet. But
they
you do use silk. At one point, I think you're supposed to be a type of spider.
I swear, at one point, someone refers to you as Little Spider. I could be completely making that up. It's like one of the skill tree things that you bind with, which I guess again, if we're talking kind of like underlying context of like a mystery, which I'll give Aaron this, you know, kind of mystery they're painting. You know, what is it that I'm binding with? I don't know. Like I don't, for me personally, and this is not just my normal I don't like story. I don't think the story offers much, at least in the first 10 plus hours. And
I don't think it's straightforward. I'm like I do think this one requires you to pick at it a little bit. So I think that's totally fine. If you're somebody that kind of needs this plainly laid out for you, well, I know Andrew kind of alluded to that too. It's not there. You're going to learn things as you're going, but you're going to learn them in pretty tiny tidbits. I'm okay with that personally. And again, I think it was a mixture of that. I was okay with that mystery, but I was okay, and the vibes added to it on top of it. I hate to say that I liked this game so much for its vibes, but this was just one of those instances where it worked for me.
Oh, it definitely works. Because, I mean, we'll get into it even with, like, the music. Like, I fully agree with you with the vibes. Like I said, with the story, as Aaron is saying, it is painting you these little pictures. Because not only that, you're getting a lot more snippets of, like, local stories.
Yeah.
So the pilgrimage, like, that's not something you're not actually participating in this pilgrimage. Why do you care about any of these bugs, any of these stories? And but you're helping them, and you're kind of learning more about them. Later on, I'm assuming you haven't got to it, but you go to a town, Belfast, and it is a town where everyone's living in bells, but they're all possessed. They're all kind of in this suspension, and you are unraveling this mystery as to what's going on, who's pulling the strings here. And it just, these little stories that are put in there, I'm really digging it, because Hollow Knight was just you figuring out this grand picture as to what's going on. I didn't feel like there was a lot of smaller ones. Like every once in a while, yeah, you got like a little town there and you kind of piece together what's going on, but it wasn't as cut and dry. Like there's way more side quests, way more like people you're talking to in this one that to me just really built the lore.
I mean, I did see, that's the thing. So I didn't get to any other world or towns or anything. So that's probably one part of it. I didn't interact with any more NPCs in the first like 4 that you talk to, and their dialogue changes slightly or so. But like, I don't know. I think that also just leads into kind of some of my issue with it. That I don't know. I'm probably got to be close to 10 hours into the game and scratching the surface because I'm just beating my head against the wall trying to slog my way through the actual gameplay.
Which I will say, this is a little bit of my gripe too. I do think this game needs a little bit of accessibility to it, because there are moments that are just brutally hard. Like Hunter's March. Anyone who's probably played this game probably already knows Hunter's March. It is an area where you know the platforming is all pogoing. It is, to me, just very difficult. Like you had to do pogoing in the first Hollow Knight, but it was like mid to late game. This is early game. It is expecting you to do this pogoing, and it's like, this is very hard for early on.
So hold on. What, are we shifting into gameplay?
Yes.
Okay, so I do have some questions here. Now, is where you're doing the pogoing those red flowers?
Yes.
So that thing next to you there in that video, is that what you have to like dive at?
Yes.
See, because I never played Hollow Knight, I didn't know.
See, so, I did play Hollow Knight, and it took me I've ran past those things probably 15 times until I got to this actual area. And that's when once I got to this area, it immediately clicked with me. But the first time you see them,
yeah,
I don't even think it gets you into an area that you can't get to. They're just kind of there. And so I couldn't figure out what to do with them until here. But here I used context, and like I kind of figured out context. Now what's awful, and I think you're going to see here, is that diagonal dash. So if you're not watching the video, Andrew's playing a clip of his gameplay right now, and you have this diagonal dash. And personally, as we also just saw in Andrew's gameplay, it is so stinking hard to line up and bounce on. There's ways to change it. It makes it slightly easier. This area still sucks so bad.
So this is one of those examples where right there at the beginning where Andrew started, I did not know this mechanic because it doesn't tell you that mechanic. You're just presented with these flowers. And I remember like trying to like shoot my thing at them. And here's what I assume in a moment like this. Oh, I'm missing a skill. I'll probably get that skill later and I need to come back here. So I never went up here.
Which
Everyone says
today.
Everyone says you don't have to. Everyone says like you probably should avoid this until later.
Yeah, if you've seen this footage, I do not have dash. Keith was doing this area with a dash, and I would say a dash would make this drastically easier. Like I fought there's a mini boss before this area, and I was just beating my face into that guy. I just kept getting wiped. And even in the video, if you watch it, I'm like, I feel like I should have a dash for this fight, but I was like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep trying.
That's another gripe I have, and it's call it what it is. So you have this natural ability of bind that allows you to heal, and it takes so stinking long to go off. And I know just time it, yada yada yada, but it makes it so annoying in boss fights though, because it's
the point.
So I understand this, but this is my gripe with the game is it's just throwing this like handful of just elements at you to just make it hard. It's not like interestingly hard in my opinion. It's you get hit and it's a millisecond recovery time. Everything is contact damage. There's no dash where you can dash through an enemy. It's all like it's basically they just turned on every single difficulty option of a game. And they were like, here you go. And you can't turn any of it off. Good luck.
Oh, again, because we're kind of watching Andrew's gameplay here. One of the things Andrew did screw up on in that last video is you can bind while you're in the air. So he probably would have been better in that last fight, literally just jumping in the
I
air.
didn't know I could at that time.
Yeah, and hitting bind instead of actually landing next to the enemy and hitting bind because of that timing. I think the game's difficult. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I never really hated that. Like there were plenty of bosses that, I had to fight 8-9 times to be able to finish them off. But
I generally found the optional bosses to be the hardest.
Oh,
and like the thing I've been already seeing people modding, which I think should be an accessibility option alone, is a lot of enemies in this game do double damage. When they hit you, they take 2 of your health bars. In Hollow Knight, I don't think any enemies did that.
There is a mod for that. The developers did come out and say that some bosses would be toned down. So they
the last judge should be one of them.
I forget the 2 that they said on there. I hadn't run into those 2 bosses yet. But they had listed the 2 bosses that would be getting a nerf. So it looks like they are listening to some people kind of mention. But just keep in mind, again, this is the reason why Souls games never really worked for me. It's why I knew I wasn't going to like Elden Ring, because games that are usually like this difficult, I end up usually feeling the same way. I usually end up feeling like I hate that I'm not respawning at the boss fight. I'm respawning a distance away, and that just feels like you're just putting me through a chore for the sake of putting me through a chore here. Like that, yes, I get it. That stuff does kind of drive me a little crazy. But again, I was just vibing with this game that I was like, I'm willing to look past it because, I'm liking this game.
So like the one we're watching with Andrew right now, the run isn't that bad, at least as far as getting back to it.
This one was pretty close.
And maybe I'm just completely wrong on this because I don't play enough Souls-like games, because I think I complained about this, well, actually in Crypt Custodian, which wasn't a Souls-like at all, but the absolute lack of patterns in the bosses. And I think you're seeing it here. Like
she's telegraphing everything.
She is telegraphing it. I understand she's telegraphing, but I'm talking about like a pattern of like they follow like these, they follow the same 4 attacks in a row type of thing. It's all like, I don't know, sometimes she dashes twice, sometimes she jumps twice. I get that it's telegraphed. I do understand that. There's no pattern to it, and that's what kind of drives me nuts.
Well, I think this is, since you say you don't normally play Souls-like, this is something you usually see in Souls-like games. You usually can figure out what a boss is going to do, usually depending on how far you are from them. So like this, I'm showing the fight with Lace. I think this is my 3rd attempt. I beat her in like 3 or 4 tries. To me, she wasn't too hard, but like she has like a dash ability, which you can tell she will do if you're pretty far away. If you're close, she puts her sword up, which, if you hit her, she'll do a riposte, so you don't want to hit her. So you can kind of figure out like kind of how she's going to react depending on your distance.
Yeah.
And so like I think since you don't play Souls-like, you probably just don't understand that. But like that is a very typical Souls-like kind of thing where you can kind of bait a boss to do an attack that you want him to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It drives me nuts.
I get it. Like, because again, Keith, generally speaking, I'm 100% with you. I know I'm the noob on this podcast, so that's kind of my role anyway. And I clearly have not gotten to some of the harder bosses because this one, she does look like she's taking a massive beating and is still kind of.
Oh yeah, some fights take so long.
Well, and that's kind of my other gripe, especially with no health bar or any indicator. Like even in a lot of games that don't give you a health bar, you'll kind of see like the boss will start to have some visual cues. This is just like she gets stunned, and that's how you know she's going into the next one. But you're just like, I'm just gonna keep hacking away, like one little dink and dunk at a time.
But the thing to me, the boss fights are a ton of fun. But the thing that I really just enjoy with this game is the platforming. The platforming in this game is so tight. It feels so good. As Keith said, I will agree. Your diagonal like pogoing, which is really in Hunter's March, like you get a little bit more farther on, which is also why I thought Hunter's March was so weird to have so early on. Because like I was like, oh, they're introducing this because this is going to be like very important. You're gonna have to do this all the time. But not really. Like there was like one other area where to do the platforming you had to do it. If you're good at pogoing, like you can actually skip a lot of platforming stuff. But I just the platforming and getting the skills in this game, it just feels so good. It feels just like everything just works so well. I love the exploration in this game.
The exploration, I like the reward of it. Again, I had a lot of moments where I did feel pretty lost on where I needed to go. But clearly, again, like you just pointed out, there was a whole mechanic I didn't know I even had. I just didn't know it was there. I, again, never played Hollow Knight, so I don't know if that was something you saw in Hollow Knight before, and that's how you kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the case. So yeah, those type of exploring things, like those are the types of moments where I at least wish when I got there, it at least said, hey, by the way, this is how you use that.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's one ability. Did you guys ever click the right stick?
No.
The what?
The right stick. You send out your weave a little bit, but I have no idea what it does. Like it costs Silk to do this ability, but I'm like, what am I doing? I don't even think it damages enemies. I tried hitting people with it.
Yeah, weird.
And I'm just like,
No,
I don't know what this is. I do a thing, but I don't know what it is.
I got the dash. So I had the dash, which that's right trigger.
Yeah.
To do
in which
that.
they explain that when you get an ability, hey, this is how you do that ability now.
But then you had abilities apparently the whole time. Again, that I just didn't know were there. Because I kept swinging at those dang red things. Like, I'm like, well, this has to do something. I just don't know what it does. That's why I literally walked away from it like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll learn that later.
But the other big like change mechanic wise compared to this to Hollow Knight, because some people are saying like, oh, does this actually feel like a completely different game? And I would say yes. You now get crests. So in the first game, you kind of got these items, these trinkets that are kind of like perks. That'll oh, you don't move if you swing your weapon. Maybe you take less damage, or I don't know. There were just obviously different kind of perks you equip. In this game, in Silksong, you have crests, which have certain slots. Oh, you can put 2 blue crests on here, or 2 blue tokens, or a yellow. Red are your tools. But depending what crest you're equipping, drastically changes how your character acts. I have 4. One of them I swing slower, but it hits harder, and you gain more silk. There's another one where your range is way shorter, but you swing faster, and you have a chance to crit. So you kind of can change your gameplay around. And if you're fighting a certain boss, you could be like, oh, I want to do a slower, heavier hit. I'll switch this crest. But also the trade-off is, oh, I really want, some of the blue tokens, but this one only lets me have one of the blue tokens. So I really like this game. Makes you change your gameplay around as to what weapon what style you're doing and what tokens you're taking with. I will say, like, the tokens, the trinkets you get are way less in this one. Like, I swear by like the 10-hour mark in Hollow Knight, I had like 20 different trinkets. In this, I have like 8.
which I think is fine. I think it's fine to
Yeah.
give you 8 useful ones as opposed to 10, but I'm only interested in using 4 of them anyway.
Exactly. And that's what I did with Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
There was only a handful I
that are
used.
worth it, and the rest will just kind of get tossed to the side. So to me, that makes sense. Just narrow it down to what could likely be used. So with good pros and cons, and then just leave it to that. I think that makes sense. I mean, you're only in Act 1. I'm sure you'll end up with a bunch more.
Yeah, which I was sitting, I'm like, I had to look it up because I'm like, how far am I? So I looked at an overall map, and man, I am like a third at best.
It's crazy.
Way done.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think I'm like 11 or 12 hours in.
Hey,
I have a friend who's actually beaten the game already.
7 years to make it. So, I mean, I guess they're working on something.
Yeah. But you definitely can see the 7 years, I got to say, in the art style. Because this game is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love the art style. The world just feels so fleshed out. It's a 2D game, but literally the environments, the background, this landscape that's going on is just absolutely gorgeous.
You know what I love so much about this art style? I actually love how, like, your character model, if you look at Hornet, is super simple. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I could probably freehand draw her pretty closely. But, like, the environment is crazy detailed. The bosses you're fighting are crazy detailed. But even the characters you run into, most of them are very simple designs. They're very clean, simple-looking characters. I love that contrast a ton of these kind of simple designed characters, overly vibrant environments around them. I don't know why. Again, that was just another thing that just really popped out to me in how good this game actually looks. And to me, it looks better than what I ever seen of Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight always kind of seemed kind of just to me.
It's very dark.
Yeah, this one's
way more vibrant.
This one just like, oh, whoop, okay. Again, I just immediately was hitting me how much I was enjoying even just the way this game looks. Yeah, love the designs.
Yeah, well, so you like pointing out the design of it. I don't know if either of you had seen this, but someone actually pointed out that it's like the model and design, like everything that the way they look and move is almost an exact replica of, I can't think of the character's name, from Castlevania.
Oh yeah,
I'm trying to
Alucard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Alucard.
yeah.
There we go. I have it up here.
It's Dracula backwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like almost, it's like identical.
Again, that is some grade A gamer knowledge right there. That somebody figured that out. Even designing that.
But then I'm also like, I don't know, like I guess it's just like a cool nod. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I like that.
But it's you're talking about simple design. I unfortunately didn't have I didn't save my screenplay of it, but there is a significant section where Hornet's naked. She literally loses her cloak. So it is like a very simple design, but that's literally what she looks like. It's literally like a black stick figure with a massive white head.
But I love that though. For whatever reason though, it's a simple design, but it's super recognizable. Like you see
it almost feels like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, I kind of hate that too, because as I'm playing the game, because of how the world is built, and again, because this was kind of scratching that itch of like a Jim Henson style thing, I'm like, oh, I wish this was a show. I wish there were. I want to know more about what's going on. I want to see more of, kind of the political structures of these systems. Like I want to know about this. Again, that stuff just started clicking with me, but I agree. I was like, oh, why hasn't this got a Netflix series already? I would love that.
It wouldn't surprise me now, honestly, at this point.
One thing that Andrew did point out in our original Hollow Knight episode is that designs, at least in Hollow Knight, looked a lot like Invader Zim. And I think it still kind of sticks out in this one. But I can see the Jim Henson designs too. But see, that's the thing. It's like I'll rag on this game for the gameplay, but mostly because I'm just so bad at it. But I do love the art. I actually was liking watching Andrew play because I could actually sit back and like watch the backgrounds. Because when I'm not actually in the midst of trying to stay alive myself, I can look and appreciate what's going on.
Yeah.
It is very true. But the other thing that just works so well is the audio. The audio in this game. Oh, well, I have the footage up. There's so much little details that they put in the art style of this game that is wild. Like, I'm in the lava area. When you hit a body in, it actually does like a flame spout of it consuming the bug that you put in there.
Yeah.
In Hunter's March, you may notice there's tiny little red ants, and whenever
they'll
you kill
carry
something
things
or drop something, they'll carry it away.
Yeah.
You'll literally see them carrying beads away, and they'll end up burying it in the ground. There's just so many tiny little details in the game. Heck, I'm jumping on the platform, and dust is kicking up everywhere.
A stupid little detail for me, when you would hit the rosary beads on something, and they would be tactile, like how they would fall and have their own little like gravity as to where they fell. It was this natural feel to it. That tactile feel was like, ooh, that's a nice little touch. That's not just like hey, you hit the rosary beads, you got them. It was like, no, they fall to the ground. They dribble all over the place. You got to go collect them. And to me, I again, those were small little details. I'm like, ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
Because I like somebody said of like, which I thought was a funny statement of like, oh, this game's been in 8 years of development hell. And someone said, no, this is development heaven.
Yeah, no, it's what Team Cherry said.
True.
When they asked Team Cherry, they were like, what was going on? They were just like, we were just having a good time putting it together. It sounded like we're just in no rush. Just make the game we want to make and take your time building it. So, yeah, it sounds like the complete opposite. It sounds like they weren't bothered at all.
No. Because, I mean, Hollow Knight kept selling copies, so they're like, well, we have the funds. But yeah, the music in the sound effects is so good.
Music rules. The sound effects are super good. I don't care what Keith says. The characters communicating are awesome. I love it. You know what gets me every time? You know what just immediately made me feel so dang good? Was every time I heard the map lady singing.
Oh, I got sick of her song a little bit.
No, I just, and it would get stuck in my head. I don't know why. I freaking loved it. And I was like, that rules. I like, even just as a character, it like, I'm like, oh, I kind of get her. Like, she's a warrior and she's singing a song of her people. And I was like, I'm into this. Like, it was just a nice little added detail there. But the one hitting the bell, trying to open the gate, awesome. I'm like, that song rules. I don't know, all this stuff. So these little guys, the ones that dive at you, would crack me up too, because they do
me too.
They go, cracks me up every time. I was like, that is hilarious. I love it. But yeah, sound, music, character voices. I loved it all. I love that there's a little language happening here. I'm into it, even though Keith.
No, truthfully, no. My only complaint is the character. And it was, again, skill issue. It was me dying every time she died. That noise she makes, it's so annoying. And even just truthfully, a little bit of the traversal, like, gets really annoying after you're running around like back and forth the same areas, and you're already starting to get a little on edge because you just died like your fourth time and having.
So it's just taunting you.
Oh, it's just just absolute worst. And there's a reason that you can turn off the character's voice. I swear, for that reason. Like, there's a specific option in the audio just to turn off your character's voice.
They knew people were just getting enraged.
It absolutely, and I swear they did it on purpose, because it is just, it is a triggering noise. Just, that was the one that got me more than any other noise. Because I agree with you, the character noises are fun, or like the enemy noises are fun. They didn't really bother me. I liked the songs, because what I like about them in particular is how they do it. I don't know what the right term is, spatially, where like the further you get from them, how they start to just distance out a little bit. So you can, it helps you find them a little bit, but also it just makes it a little bit more interesting, because at first you just hear it and you're like, what's that eerie little like noise off in the distance? And then it grows and you're like, that sounds friendly. Most times it is. Sometimes it's not, though. That's another thing. Sometimes you hear those things and it's not friendly.
Speaking of, because that actually reminded me, there was actually kind of two things to add to that. I fought two guys in kind of like a smaller, tight corridor, and it echoed. So I played this with headphones, and you could hear it kind of echoing in there as you're fighting them. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I even like how when you're walking into an area, you can hear a character in another room doing something. So you know you're close to something because you can hear the.
Yeah, you can hear the
and you're like, yeah, what is that? Where is he?
shaman or the druid.
The Mossy Druid or whatever.
That's one you can hear.
There's one that I can hear, but I don't know where he is. Like there's one where it like kind of brings you up to a wall again that I can't climb. I don't know, unless do I have a climb feature yet or do I get that later?
You get that pretty later.
Okay, I figured. So I can't climb up. I'm assuming he's up there because I can hear him up there working on something, but I don't know who it is.
I think that's probably the blacksmith. There probably is.
No, I've met the blacksmith. I met him.
Is it in the fire area?
No, it's not the fire area.
All right.
It was an area before that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't him because obviously you can hear them ding 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 working on stuff.
Is it something yelling and banging on a wall?
Maybe.
Because there is a gate that took me the longest time where like it sounds like there's a monster behind it. I actually just recently beat that fight. It was the Chapel of the Beast. That fight was a bit rough.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy game.
It's not.
But it's gonna be
but like Aaron said, it's patience. It's all about patience. Yeah, like because a lot of times when you're seeing my footage, you can just see I'm just rushing.
Yeah. Oh, that's my
like,
biggest issue is I just try to rush back to where I'm going and I'll try to skip past enemies, take a couple dumb hits, and then I'm scrambling. And it is all about patience, and that's absolutely one of my biggest personal issues with it, or skill issues with it, I guess I should say. But on the audio, I wish I could remember where it was. I should have like taken note of it. But there's one place in particular where the music just cuts out and it's noticeable. It was just like one section in particular I was going through where I noticed I was like, there's just no music. It's just dead silent. And then it kicks back in. But I think that plays into how they do really well with the audio, aside from the character voice.
Yeah, which I wanted to look up. There is an original soundtrack. There is one for Hollow Knight. Okay, yeah, here's one. Silksong. Okay, yeah, Silksong has an original soundtrack as well. You are looking at 80 songs, almost 4 hours of music.
Now, how would you compare this to Halo, Andrew?
Meh. No, it's definitely. I wouldn't. I mean, it's good.
Is it iconic?
I think. I don't know. I don't know if I would listen to it because I mean, there's no lyrics to it either. But it's a vibe. A lot of the songs though are just a couple minutes long, so I don't know. To me, it's just. To me, it just didn't hit as hard as a Halo or an Expedition 33, but the soundtrack is very good though.
Yeah.
I think in the achievements though, I would not recommend for achievement hunters if you want 1,000 in this game, because there are some uber hard achievements, which the first one did as well. There's like a very super hard, like I think solo, like one life mode. And if you want to be that sweaty person to try to get that achievement, good luck to you.
Sounds like
but a lot of the achievements are just tied to a boss. You beat a boss, you get an achievement.
Thank you, Dauphin. Yeah. I appreciate you. Feel heard.
All right, but I guess we can get our final thoughts here of Silksong. So, as I said at the beginning, for me, Hollow Knight Silksong, I'd say this is a game. I don't know if I'd say a definite game because there definitely is a skill check with this. You definitely need to have the patience. As I said, I recommend playing the first Hollow Knight just so you could learn how some things work. As far as story-wise goes, if you don't care, like there's not much for story of like from the first to second, at least from what I've seen. So I don't think you're gonna be completely lost. But Hollow Knight Silksong is a blast. I'm 100% with Aaron. There were times where I just got so frustrated at a boss. I put it down. Next day, I'm like, I want to do this. I want to play. And I just would get so just wrapped up in this game. It's super fun. I don't know if I'd recommend it for cloud play. I didn't have too much latency issue. Like the controls of this game are very snappy, but you need to be very quick. I was playing on my main TV for a little bit, which my TV has a little bit of latency, and I was struggling. So it's like, okay, I can't play on this TV. I got to play on my monitor. So yeah, you definitely cannot play this game with latency. So I wouldn't recommend it with cloud play. But yeah, Silksong is great. It's $20, which my other theory as to why they did $20 is if you bought this game and then went, no, this game's too hard. I feel like there's a higher chance you won't refund it because it's $20, whatever. You'll just like, maybe I'll pick it up later. I don't know. That's just a conspiracy theory thought of mine, but it's great. For me, I'm giving this a 90. I know a lot of people are, saying this is easily their game of the year. I can see why it is. Don't know. It'll definitely be on the list for me for game of the year, but I don't know if it'll be my game of the year at the end.
So Aaron issued an apology at the beginning of this episode that, for things that we said about Hollow Knight and it selling 15 million copies. I'm not going to issue the same apology. I still stand behind that. Yes, even at 15 million copies, there is niche might not be the right word, and I will admit that. But I still think that at the end of the day, as someone who likes Metroidvania games, who likes platformer games, I'm not saying this makes me an expert, but at least who generally likes this style of game. It's not that I hate it. I just don't necessarily see that it does anything genre breaking that I haven't seen across a lot of other games outside of adding the Souls-like element, which for me, again, this is where the personal element comes in. I'm like, cool. I can basically be shut out to this game because you've added an element that just makes it way too hard for me and inaccessible. The art style is fantastic, though. The music is great. Can't stress enough how much I can't stand the character voice, but otherwise all of the sound effects are great. Everything's really great about this game, and it is a good overall great game. I just don't know. I don't understand. I truly just do not understand the love fest for it because I don't think it does anything that defines the genre or has shaped or molded or changed it in any capacity. It is just a very, very good game in it, and that's all it is. So for me personally, it's pass. I get it. I do. But I if someone can explain to me really what this does different, I that's what I want to know because I don't get it. I think I gave the first one an 81. I think I'm going to give this an 80.
I don't think this game needs to do anything different. It just needs to perfect it. And I think this gets as close to perfection on that front. Now, this is a weird year for me because this is the year of game types that I've never cared for kind of getting to me a little bit. And obviously, we have not mentioned Expedition 33. So, turn-based RPGs, not my thing, but that one worked. Here we've got a Metroidvania Souls-like. Those are two words I really do not want to ever say again because those are not games I enjoy. And yet, this one works. And I think what it takes for me is to come across something where I say, oh, this is why people like it. And again, even though it's not for me, I still had a good time with this one, and I still wanted to go further into this game. I wanted to keep going, and I was frustrated when I was lost because I just wanted to keep finding progression. I keep wanting to find what is the next thing. I want to see as this thing goes on, what else can I find? I was just so drawn into the world. I was so drawn into these kind of breadcrumbs that it was leaving for me. It's hard. It's a hard game. It is. And I totally get that's such an appeal and a draw for so many gamers. It's why games like Elden Ring and Dark Souls sell bazillions of copies because that's what people want. And I get it now. I can kind of see it here and I can see the appeal of it. So I don't think I will love all of these types of games. I think I will like this one because this one to me, it hits in that right spot. And it makes sense to me. Again, it is difficult. I didn't like getting lost. I didn't like that there were mechanics in this that it didn't tell me I even had. I know we've gone over that a little bit. And for that, I've just got to knock it down a little bit. I would give this one an 88.
Man, I'm really glad you liked it, Aaron. I thought for sure I was going to be the only one in this boat that was just like that. You know, I dug this.
If you told me before this process what I was going to think of it, I mean, obviously, again, we did an episode a few weeks back, a side quest episode, and I did jot this down because I was like, I don't understand why everyone is that hyped over this. Like, who? Like, it's a 2D platformer, and everyone is acting like this is game of the year, like this is GTA 6 or something. And then I got here, and I go, okay, I think within 15 minutes, I was like, I'm getting this. This is making a little bit of sense to me.
I still just you just keep talking about like you like the environment though, like, and I get that, but I don't see how this perfects the Metroidvania, and I still don't truly kind of get outside of the overall look of the environment. I kind of don't get that because I still like if you want a story and like something you can involve, go to Ori. Like, not to make this like about because they really are just completely different games. But it's just, I don't know, in terms of that, I don't understand it. I really don't
say they're
understand.
Different games. I'd still say they're pretty close.
Either way,
it's a little more forgiving.
I just don't think that this perfects anything. I don't know. That's me personally. Come fight me in Discord. That's I'll stay.
Write a comment on Spotify and maybe
I will
apologize in a future episode.
I won't. I don't apologize. Along with journalistic integrity, regret is something I have nothing of on this.
I'll apologize
podcast.
on Keith's behalf.
I won't.
Right.
I won't endorse it.
All right, but I think we'll wrap it up here. Thank you all so much for joining us. As I said, go to GamePassGrabBag.com. You know, so you can see our past reviews of games that we've covered. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel. I've been trying to do playthroughs more of the games that we're playing. I've been trying to stream a lot more.
I might be streaming tomorrow, by the way.
Ooh, what are you streaming?
I really want to download Borderlands 4 tomorrow. So
yeah,
I might stream some of that tomorrow. I want to get back onto streaming. Work is kind of leveling out a little bit right now, so I do have a little bit more free time. So yeah, I might jump on at some point tomorrow.
Yep. I've been trying to do the games that we've been covering. I've been trying to stream more. Dark Side Phil has been a big inspiration to me. That guy is absolutely awful. And if he can stream, I'm like, you know what? I can stream.
I was going to say, how is that guy inspiring to you? Oh, okay.
That guy is a personality of curdled milk.
That guy sucks.
Is somehow making it.
And if he can make it, so can I.
There's something to be said for that.
I played a little bit of Silksong. It is a delight.
Yeah, he's known for being really bad at video games and hating them because he's bad at them. Yes, he's very.
His personality is like the way I've heard described. He is the reason why developers put yellow paint everywhere.
Yep.
And that is the perfect description
Spot
of
on.
him. So yeah. Anyway, I've been your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. You can find me next Xbox Live at Firebird01952. Make sure, like I said, make sure you join our Discord as well. Me and Keith are quite active on there. So yeah, come say hi.
Oh boy.
Bye.
I guess no one else to say anything.
I said bye.
We love you all. We'll see you next week.
See ya.